do this to me? I trusted that man, oh. Chai.
He fell in the mud.
You slept well?
Very well. You?
Fine.
Ugomma Eze had been married to Tobenna for 9 years when she noticed he was always tired. Not tired like a man working hard, tired like a man who had been somewhere else all night. He would come to bed at 10 p.m., fall asleep by 10:15, sleep deeply and without movement until morning. She would wake at 2 a.m. sometimes. She had always been a light sleeper, and he would be there, immovable, breathing the heavy breath of deep sleep. But he was always tired. During dinner, eyes closing. During church, fighting to stay alert. During their son's school play, she saw him jerk awake twice. She asked him, "You seem exhausted lately. Are you okay?" "Just work," he said. "The new project is demanding." She accepted this for 3 months. She was a secondary school principal. She understood demanding work. Then, in March 2024, something woke her at exactly 3 a.m. Not a sound, something else. The particular quality of an empty space. She reached across the bed. Tobenna was not there. Guys, you have to listen to this story, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe because this story goes somewhere you will not predict. An Igbo wife noticed her husband was always exhausted, always asleep by 10 p.m., always too tired for conversation, intimacy, their son's activities. She asked, he said work stress. She believed him. Then one night, she woke at 3 a.m. and he was not in the bed. She waited. He came back at 4:30 a.m., slipped back into bed, thought she was sleeping. She was not sleeping, she was beginning. What she discovered over the next 3 weeks about where her husband goes at 3 a.m. was not what anyone expected. Not another woman, something far more complicated. Something that made her question 9 years of marriage and everything she thought she knew about the man beside her. This is Ugomma's story, and this is what actually happened. 3:07 a.m. Ugomma lies in the empty space where Tobenna was. The bed beside her is cool. He has been gone long enough for his warmth to fade. She does not move. She does not call his name. She is a secondary school principal. She has managed 300 children and 40 teachers for 6 years. She is not a woman who reacts before she thinks. She thinks. His phone is gone from the nightstand. His slippers are gone from beside the bed. He has left deliberately, not stumbled to the bathroom in the night. She waits. At 4:32 a.m., she hears the gate, then careful footsteps, then the bedroom door opening very slowly, a man trying not to wake his wife. She keeps her breathing even. Her eyes remain closed. She feels the mattress shift as he settles. Within minutes, his breathing deepens. She does not sleep again until morning. At breakfast, she watches him eat his akara with the appetite of a man who has rested. Their son, Ekini, 7 years old, chatters about school. Tobenna responds, engaged, present, a normal Tuesday morning. "You slept well?" she asks. "Very well," he says. "You?" "Fine," she says. She's not fine. She's beginning. She does not wake every night. She lies carefully awake on the nights she chooses, listening. 3 nights after the first, at 2:58 a.m., she feels him move. The deliberate sequence: feet finding slippers, pause to check if she stares, phone from nightstand, slow, careful movement to the door. This time, she opens her eyes. The room is dark, but she can see his silhouette. He is dressed, not in the shorts and t-shirt he wears to bed, but in actual clothes, dark trousers, a shirt. He checks his phone. The screen briefly lights his face. His expression is not guilty. It is focused, the face of a man going somewhere he needs to be. He leaves. She counts to 60. Then she gets up. She goes to the window that overlooks their compound. She watches Tobenna cross the yard, not to his car. He does not take his car, but to the gate on foot. He opens it with his key. He slips through. He is gone. She watches the empty compound. Her mind offers her explanations. An affair, a night job he is hiding, gambling, something medical, sleepwalking with consciousness. All of them feel wrong. The wrongness is in the focus of his face. He was going somewhere specific, purposefully, not desperately. She goes back to bed. She does not sleep. 1 week into her watching, Ugomma makes a decision. She will follow him. She's not impulsive. She spends 2 nights planning. She charges the power bank for her phone. She wears dark clothes to bed that she can move in quickly. She identifies which shoes she can put on silently in the dark. She checks the gate's secondary key is on her own keyring. On the night she chooses, she lies and waits. 2:55 a.m., he begins his sequence. She waits until she hears the gate close behind him. She counts to 30. She rises silently, slips on her shoes, takes her phone and key, crosses the compound. She opens the gate and looks out. Tobenna is walking down the street with the pace of a man who knows exactly where he's going. She follows at a distance. Enugu of 3 a.m. is not empty. There are always people, watchmen, late travelers, commercial vehicles. She's not conspicuous. He walks for 12 minutes. He turns into a street she knows. They have driven past it many times. He stops at a house. Not a big house, a simple bungalow with a blue gate. He knocks in a pattern. 3 quick, pause, 2 slow, a code. The gate opens. He goes inside. Ugomma stands on the opposite side of the street, in the dark, looking at the closed blue gate. She does not go in, not that night. She notes the address, she photographs the house, the gate, the street name. She goes home before Tobenna returns. The next day, during her lunch hour at the school, she investigates. The house belongs, according to neighborhood inquiries she makes through a trusted colleague who lives in that area, to an old man named Mazi Odinaka. 73 years old, lives alone, has lived in that house for 40 years. Retired civil servant, quiet man, no scandal attached to his name. This makes no sense. Why is her husband visiting a 73-year-old man at 3 a.m.? She digs further. Her colleague, Chisamaga, makes more discreet inquiries. Mazi Odinaka has no daughters, no young female relatives living with him. He is genuinely just an old man. The affair theory collapses. What replaces it is stranger. Chisamaga comes back with one more piece of information. That house, People say things happen there at night. The neighbors have heard sounds, prayers, chanting, people coming and going in the dark hours. Nobody talks about it openly, but they know. Ugomma sits with this. Prayers, chanting, the house of a 73-year-old man, her husband visiting at 3 a.m. with a coded knock. Her mind goes somewhere she doesn't want it to go. 2 nights later, she follows Tobenna again. Same walk, same timing, same coded knock, same blue gate opening. But this time, instead of watching from across the street, she approaches the house from the side. There is a low wall. She finds a position where she can see through a gap between the gate and the wall post. Inside the compound, a group of people. She counts 7, including Tobenna. They are seated in a circle in the open compound under the night sky. Candles lit, something burning in a clay pot. She can smell it from where she stands, the particular smell of herbs and something else she cannot identify. An old man she assumes is Mazi Odinaka sits at the head of the circle. He is speaking. She cannot hear the words clearly, but she can see the movement, the group responding, Tobenna among them, heads bowed, hands raised, following a sequence that looks like organized prayer but feels different, older. The fire in the clay pot higher. Tobenna's face, visible to her when he raises his head, is completely absorbed, not frightened, not coerced, deeply, willingly present. Ugomma backs away from the wall. She walks home quickly, alone in the Enugu night. Her husband is attending some kind of secret spiritual gathering at 3 a.m. every few nights. For how long? What is he asking for? What is he giving? She needs to know more before she confronts him. Ugomma is a principal. She knows how to research. She knows how to find things. She digs into Mazi Odinaka's history through every channel available to her. The land registry, old newspaper archives, university library databases. What she finds takes 4 days to assemble and 2 more days to accept. Mazi Odinaka was not always a quiet retired civil servant. In the 1980s and 1990s, he was known in Enugu as a powerful traditional medicine practitioner. Not a herbalist in the ordinary sense, someone who worked with the deeper end of Igbo traditional spiritual practice. People came to him for things the church couldn't help with. Business troubles, fertility, legal disputes that needed more than lawyers. He had largely retired from this practice in the early 2000s when his wife died and he became a church member. The neighbors knew the old history, but he had been quiet for 20 years. Until apparently he hadn't.
Ugomma cross-references the timing. When had Tobenna started attending? She thinks back. The tiredness began approximately 8 months ago, July 2023. What happened in July 2023? She sits with this question. Then it surfaces. July 2023, Tobenna's business partner, Naira, had cheated him. A construction project they co-owned, Naira had secretly diverted contracts and pocketed 45 million naira that should have been shared. Tobenna had tried legal action. It had gone nowhere. Naira had connections. The case stalled. Tobenna was devastated. He had prayed constantly, gone to multiple churches, and then, apparently, he had gone somewhere else. He had gone to Mazi Odinaka.
Tobenna is not having an affair. He is not in a cult in the dangerous sense. He went to a traditional spiritualist because he felt cheated by both his business partner and by the legal system. And he is asking for justice through means he felt were his only remaining option. Ugomma does not ambush Tobenna with what she knows. She is too careful for ambush. She chooses a Sunday afternoon. Ekene is at her mother's house. The house is quiet. She makes tea for both of them. The deliberateness of this domestic ritual, tea as context for serious conversation. She places the tea in front of him. She sits across from him. She says, "Tell me about Mazi Odinaka." The color leaves Tobenna's face. She watches him go through panic, calculation, the brief consideration of denial, the recognition that she would not ask this question without already knowing the answer. Then something that is almost relief. The particular relief of a man who has been carrying a secret alone and is being given the option to set it down. He tells her everything. July 2023, Naira's betrayal, the failed legal case, 3 months of prayer at their church with no result, and Naira living well with stolen money. A colleague who whispered about Mazi Odinaka, the first visit, the old man's assessment of the situation, the agreement to participate in the remedy. What remedy? Ugomma asks. Tobenna hesitates. What remedy, Tobenna? He tells her. A series of ritual sessions, the night gatherings she had witnessed, specific prayers and offerings directed at ensuring Naira would face natural consequences for what he had done. Not harm, Tobenna insists. Not harm exactly. Just the universe would be shown what happened and would correct it. In exchange for what? Ugomma asks. Another hesitation. The sessions cost money. I have been paying Mazi Odinaka. How much? Over 8 months, approximately 2.8 million naira. 2.8 million naira. Ugomma sits with this number. Their household account, their son's school fees coming up, the roof repair they had been delaying, all the places 2.8 million naira could have gone. Where did this money come from? Tobenna tells her. Some from savings he had accumulated separately, some from the household account, small withdrawals he had disguised as various expenses. She pulls up their bank statements on her phone right there at the table. She has always managed their finances. She goes through the past 8 months with the careful eye of a woman who now knows what she is looking for. She finds them. 17 withdrawals, small enough individually to seem unremarkable. Together, 2.8 million naira. You deceived me about money, she says. You attended secret night gatherings without telling me. You went to a traditional spiritualist behind my back. I was ashamed, he says. I was ashamed that the legal system failed us. I was ashamed that I felt I had no other options. I didn't want you to know I had gone to. You should have told me, she says. You should have told me about Naira and what you were feeling. I am your wife. I know. You chose to carry this alone, and in so doing, you made decisions about our money, our household, our lives that were not yours alone to make. I know. Is there anything else I don't know? A pause. She watches his face. No, he says. That is everything. 3 days after the confrontation, something happens that neither Ugomma nor Tobenna arranged. Naira is arrested. Not for the construction fraud. That case is still stalled. He is arrested for a separate fraud, a separate scheme involving a housing cooperative he had been running since 2021, collecting deposits from over 200 families for houses that were never going to be built. Total theft, 180 million naira. EFCC investigators had been building the case for 2 years. They move in the same week Ugomma finds out about Mazi Odinaka sessions. Tobenna sees the news on his phone at dinner and goes completely still. Ugomma watches him. Is this because of the sessions? She asks carefully. Tobenna looks at her. I don't know, he says, honestly. The EFCC has been building this case for 2 years, since before you went to Mazi Odinaka. This is their investigation, not a spiritual consequence. I know that's the rational explanation. It is the only explanation. Yes, he says. He pauses. But he is arrested. Ugomma looks at her husband, this man she has been married to for 9 years, who went to a traditional spiritualist in the dark because he felt abandoned by every legitimate system, who spent 2.8 million naira on it in secret, who may or may not believe by his night sessions contributed to the outcome. She does not know how to untangle what she feels about all of this. Ugomma and Tobenna do not separate, but they do not immediately return to what they were before. She insists on 3 things. First, he stops the sessions with Mazi Odinaka immediately and completely. He agrees. Second, they attend couples counseling with their pastor, not to be judged, but to have a structured space for what needs to be said between them. He agrees. Third, he participates in a full accounting of their finances going forward. No separate accounts, no hidden transactions, complete transparency. He agrees without hesitation.
These 3 things do not fix what happened, but they are the beginning of a new structure built on what was discovered in the dark. The counseling takes 6 months. It is not comfortable. It surfaces things that the 9 years had accumulated. Tobenna's particular pride that made failure feel unsurvivable, his pattern of handling difficulty alone and presenting only the managed version to Ugomma. Ugomma's tendency to let things pass without pressing because she valued peace over truth, the way they had both been very good at not having difficult conversations. Naira goes to trial. He receives 8 years. The 180 million naira case is the primary charge. The construction fraud Tobenna suffered is added as a secondary count. Tobenna is listed as a victim. He receives partial restitution, not 45 million naira. Less, but something. The 2.8 million naira Tobenna kid Mazi Odinaka is gone. Ugomma accepts this loss as the cost of the lesson. She does not spend more time being angry about money than the situation deserves. 1 year after the first night, she reached across the bed and found the empty space. Sunday morning, their house. Tobenna is in the kitchen making tea. He has taken over this task since the confrontation, a small, deliberate thing. Ekene is in the sitting room watching cartoons. Ugomma sits at the dining table with her school week planning. Tobenna brings tea. He sets it beside her papers. He says, "I'm sorry, for the record and permanently." She looks up. "I know. You deserve to know everything from the beginning." "Yes, I did." "Are we okay?" She thinks about this properly. Not the easy answer, the true one. "We are getting okay," she says. "That is not the same thing, but it is what we have, and it is real." He nods. He sits across from her. He picks up his own tea. Ekene shouts from the sitting room that his cartoon has finished and can we go to ShopRite. Tobenna answers, "After church." Ugomma adds, "And after you clean your room." The ordinary Sunday morning machinery of their family life resumes. But different. More honest, with the lights on. This is Ugomma's story. 9 years of marriage, husband always exhausted. One night she woke at 3 a.m. and he was gone. She waited. He came back at 4:30 a.m. He thought she was sleeping. She was not. She followed him 3 nights later. 12-minute walk to a house with a blue gate. Coded knock. 7 people in a circle with candles and a clay pot. Her husband in the middle with his hand raised. Not an affair. Something far older and more complicated. He had been secretly attending traditional spiritualist sessions for 8 months, paying 2.8 million naira from their household account. all because his business partner stole 45 million naira and the legal system failed him and he felt he had no other options. 4 twists. Money hidden in plain sight. The spiritualist's real history. Naira arrested by EFCC independently same week. The marriage surviving but changed permanently. Subscribe. Comment if you would have left. Share if you believe desperation makes people do things they cannot explain to the people they love.